Well, here we are, folks. Welcome to the first video of my channel for LadlesportADV. Instead of doing written instructions, we're going to do video instructions on the installation for any of our products. So hopefully this goes to plan and everything looks as smooth as it needs to be. So we're going to start by making sure that we've got the front fender removed. It's 6 fasteners, 3 on each side, and then what we're left with is this guy right here. The first step is probably to install this HEL Performance brake line, and do that according to the instructions that come in the package. I'm not here to discuss that. They're covered right there, so they should be easy to follow, and also include the torque specs for the new stainless steel banjo bolts on both sides. The first thing we'll do is we'll grab the fender, and note that we have to clearance down here for the brackets. The easiest way to do that is to take the long bracket and just place a couple fasteners to hold it in place so that you can see how you have to clearance it. This can be achieved with a flat file. I don't recommend a razor blade on these ABS parts. It just takes way too long and you risk that blade running away from what you're trying to cut. Trim both sides equally and just make sure that the bracket fits. And you might need to leave a little bit of clearance there for the bolt head, because it's going to sit there like so. Make sure that when you take the fender off, that you save all the hardware. It's important that we do that because some of it's going to be reused. Specifically, 4 of these large panhead socket head screws, and these Fuji or spring lock nuts. Once everything is clearanced on both sides, we'll start by installing the short brackets on the rear portion of the fender. We'll reuse 2 of these factory nuts that used to be in these locations here, along with the Fuji nuts, and we can tighten those down right away. They'll butt up against the isolators that remain on the fender, and you can tighten these and torque them down to till they're tight. The reason why we do those first is so that there remains enough clearance here against the tire. The next step would be starting fitment of the fender in its new location. We will start with the long bracket and the reused factory screw. And that will tighten down with a 4mm Allen key, just until it's snug for now. And we can do that on both sides. Next, we'll take one of the supplied socket head bolts that mount into the lower factory location of the fender and into the middle hole of the bracket. This will thread into the factory location in the fork. And that's where we get our 50mm rise from. We'll snug those down by hand on both sides. Next, we'll take one of the supplied bolts, 2 washers, and one of the supplied nuts. And we'll start here in the top. We'll just get it started. It should thread through right away because the bracket's already aligned down here. and the washer nut go on the back side. We'll just make sure it's snug because we still have some work to do on the back side. Now we're ready to mount up the rear portion. We've got this cable stay, or hose stay, that's on the front. Make sure all the hoses and everything are in the right position, and we can thread this supplied nut, washer, and bolt in through the bottom. This is definitely one of the reasons why I love these ratcheting combination wrenches. Super helpful in this situation. We'll get that bolted up in both locations, and we're almost ready to go. Keep in mind that the shorter bolts that are supplied in the kit are what goes here. And that's, again, just to maintain clearance up against the tire. And just to prevent anything from hanging up. I wouldn't recommend using any powered impact tools or drivers like that, because they're actually very bad for nylock nuts. The nylon will actually warm up and be less effective when they're tight. Now that everything is installed, we can just go around and make sure that everything is snug. Last but not least, we'll take this installed bushing on the brake hose and we'll get it up into the cable stay up on top of the fender and tighten that down. And that's it. No rocket science involved. Just a quick install. Takes maybe 5 minutes. So once everything is installed, you notice the substantial clearance underneath the fender. You can actually get your hand in and clean it out if necessary. Thanks for watching, and it's time to go get this thing dirty, I guess.